Hi guys, so today I want to be talking about Emmet and how we can use Emmet, which is an extension which you can plug into VS Code and various other code editors to basically allow you to create HTML elements with shorthand expressions. So I'm just going to go through a few examples of how we can achieve this. So I'm going to start with the simplest, which is just how do we create an element using Emmet. And the easiest way is we can just say div and then press tab and we have a div. We can also achieve that without writing div. We can just put dot and that will give us a div with a class. The automatic, if you don't define what it is and you put dot, you will get a div with a class opener. You can give that class a name, so we can say the name is container and we get a div with the class name container. Let me just do that again, sorry. So dot would give you this, dot with container would give you this. We can also, as with typing div, we can give it to a different element, a different class. So h1.heading, so we've defined our element that we're creating and the class of it. So we get a h1 with a class of heading. We can also do the same with IDs. So h1 and we use the hash or pound sign, whatever you want to refer to it as, and then the name of the ID, so we'll call that heading primary, and then we get an h1 with a heading primary ID. So that's the simplest way we can create elements with classes. So I've covered that. Now, and I've covered with IDs as well, so we don't need that. We can create elements with children as well, so we can chain things on. So for this example, we'll do the same thing. We'll create a div with a class of container, and in order to give it a child, we have to use the right chevron, the carroty looking symbol, and then we'd say what child we want to give it. So we've created a parent container, which is a div with the class of container. Then we want to give it a child, which is going to be, in this case, let's make it a header, so h1 with a class of heading. So as you can see, we now have a div with a class of container, and it contains a child, which is a heading with the class of heading. Now, how do we go about creating things with siblings? So not only do we want to create children, we want to create multiple children. So children that are just, because obviously we could chain them, as we did here. We could say div, and then we could say h1, and then we could say span. So we get a div with an h1 in it, and then a span within the h1. But we don't want that. We want a div with an h1 followed by a span. So to do this, same as before, we'll do a div with an h1 inside plus a span, and then we get a h1 with a span as its sibling instead of as its child. If we want to create multiple elements, so let's say we know that we want to create a list with maybe 5 or 6 items, let's say 5 for this example, we'll go and create a unordered list with a list item, and we can use the asterisk symbol for times and 5. So we're going to have 5 list items contained within an unordered list. Nice and simple. So let's say we want to create we're creating some placeholder content. So we want to create, not only do we want to create the elements, we want to put something in them. Well, we can do this as well. So let's create an unordered list with a list item times 5. And in order to do this, after you've written out the name of the element you want to create, before you do anything else, just pop in the braces and then whatever content you want in there. So in this case I'm going to put this is a list item, and because I stripped it in the wrong place. There we go. So if you caught that, so it's a UL with a list item, with the contents of this is a list item, times 5, which gives us an unordered list with 5 list items, all with the same content. So how do we create elements with attributes? Maybe we want to add something into, let's say we're creating an image element and we want to give it a source or a target. So in this case we go image, and then you use the square brackets, and in those we type in the name of the attribute we want to select. So in this case I'm going to say target equals, and then as you would in HTML, and then if I go like that, we get an image, which will automatically, of course, the image knows that it's going to need a source and an alt attribute, so it puts them in automatically. We could have declared them and it would have filled them out for us, but we've told it we need a target, so it's put the target in there. So I hope that makes sense. I'm just going to do that again just to show you. If we just do an image as it is, it automatically gives you the source and the alt attribute. The good thing is it will move the cursor inside of each of the attributes for you to fill out. So once you image tab, you're automatically tabbed in there, so we can just give it a source of image.jpg, and then press tab again and it will take us to the alt attribute to fill in, and we'll just say logo, just so that they're filled out. Nice and simple. Let's say we want to create, similar to up here where we did an all unordered, don't know what came over me there. Let's so we want to create an unordered list with 5 list items, but we don't want them all to have the same text. Let's say we want to differentiate between them. So same as we did there, we'll do an unordered list with an li, and same as before, we'll use the braces and we'll say this is item, and then use the $sign, and what that $sign would do is replace it with a number. So here we've got, same as up here, but instead of saying this is a list item, it'll say this is item, and then the number. Let me show you that. So it's where we had the $sign, we now have the number. This is item 1, this is item 2, this is item 3. Nice and handy. So using some of these things, I thought it'd be good to do a bigger example. This is a bit more complex, but we're going to try and build this out. Now, maybe you want to have a go yourself, maybe pause the video, have a look, and then we're going to go through and I'm going to go over it and show you how it's done. So, if you've had a go at it yourself, good, I hope you've achieved it. Let's go over it anyway and see where we can go. So we've got a div with a header element which contains an image element as its child. After that we've got a heading element with the class of heading primary. Then we have an unordered list with 3 list items with different classes within them. Then we've got a H2 class, sorry, a H2 with a class of heading secondary. Then another unordered list with similar list items to above. So let's try and build this out. So start with a div, and then we have a header, and that header has a class of hero, so .hero, and then we want to have an image in there with a class of logo. image.logo, and with a source, so we can tag that on, equals logo.jpg or .png, because that's what we're up there. It doesn't matter. We're not actually testing this. Those images aren't actually there. And so that's the first part. Then we can go and say we then want after that header. So because we've done that, one thing I didn't say, you can separate things out to make sure that that gets created, then we move on. So that gets created as its own chunk. So we'll have a header created with the image in it, and then after that header, otherwise, if I've got the plus there, we'll get header with an image, and then also in the header we'll get the next thing. So header with a class of hero, image with a class of logo, and a source of logo.png, and then after that we want a h1 with a class of heading primary. Then we want a ul with a class of, oh, we haven't given it a class, that's fine. Then I want an li. So the first two are the same. Actually, I've made this a bit complicated, so let me take this part out. Li with a class of item, and as we discussed, we just need to fill that in with the $sign. And after that, sorry, that should be times 3 because we've got 3 of those. Then we should have another heading, sorry, another H1, sorry, H2 in this case. See, I've lost track of what I'm doing. And that's got a class of heading secondary. And then another UL with another set of list items. Same as before, item with a $sign times 3, and with a bit of luck this will work. So have we got all we wanted? We've got a header with the class of hero. Let's just move that down. Don't know why I put some line on that. So yes, we've got a div, yep. We've got a header with the class of hero, yep. And in there we've got an image with logo.png, the logo, we can give it an else attribute. H1 class is heading primary, yep. Then we've got an unordered list with 3 items, item 1, item 2, item 3, yep. We have a H2 with the class of heading secondary, yep. An unordered list with 3 items in it, yep. And then we close everything off. Okay guys, so there you go, a quick explanation of Emmet and how you can use its shorthand syntax to build out HTML documents. Hopefully the video has been helpful to you. If it has, feel free to leave a comment. It'll also be nice if you could like, share and subscribe to my channel. That'd be absolutely awesome. And guys, I'll see you soon.